قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وآتوا النساء صدقاتهن نحلة فإن طبن لكم عن شيء منه نفسا فكلوه هنيئا مريئا صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوا على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. We continue what we started several nights ago, discussing gender equality in Islam and the amount of rights that Islam has given towards women. We gave several introductions. We saw how Western society gave women certain rights, but it wasn't fi sabilillah. It wasn't for the sake of Allah. It wasn't for the sake of women. But the slogan of women's rights in the West was to benefit men and for the interests of men. We saw how Islam can be applied at any time and is up to date. And we are not need to modify any Islamic laws, especially laws pertaining to family structure, family law. And we also saw the status of women in the Quran. And yesterday we examined the differences between men and women, biologically and psychologically. From today, we are ready to examine the laws that Islam has pertaining to men and women, and show the drastic differences between men and women. We shall tackle these laws, we shall examine them, analyze them, and see what was the purpose behind these laws. To degrade women, and to disrespect women, and to consider them as second-class citizens? Or is it completely the opposite? These laws serve to honor women and to protect them, and to protect their dignity, as we should see. There are several laws that we'd like to discuss in the coming nights. We shall examine three main laws tonight, inshallah. وبركة الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Some say that why is it in Islam that proposal for marriage is in the hand of men? Why is it that men are allowed to propose and are required to propose for marriage, while women are not allowed to propose and initiate a marital relationship? Why is it disallowed? Why is it that the man can go and seek whoever he wants, while the woman has to sit at home and wait for her fate and destiny? She can't choose her own destiny. She can't choose her own husband. Her husband has to come to her, while the man can go and choose himself. Isn't this a bias? Isn't this prejudice? Isn't this a sort of discrimination against females and women in Islam? The answer. Two answers. Number one, who told you that proposal in Islam is in the hand of men, and that only men are required to propose and women are not allowed to propose? Where do we have such an Islamic law? In the Quran, or in the Sunnah, or in Islamic history? We don't find a single law that states a man has to initiate the relationship. The man has to initiate the proposal. No. A woman can. Legally, religiously, Islamically, she has the right to propose. And everyone knows, anyone who has basic knowledge of Islamic history knows that Rasulullah proposed to Khadija, or Khadija proposed to Rasulullah. Khadija proposed to Rasulullah. And this did not bring her any disrespect. This did not lower from her honor or dignity or self-respect. Khadija is seen as the second most holiest woman in Islamic history. The second most honored and dignified woman in Islamic history is the Sayyidah Khadija, al-Mu'mineen. And Rasulullah's best wife, yes, she proposed, and she initiated, and she told Rasulullah, she told Abu Talib, the uncle of Rasulullah, that I'm interested in your nephew and I'd like to marry him. And we have another case in Medina from the companions of Rasulullah, from the Ansar, and this has been mentioned in the Quran, that a lady came to Rasulullah and she said, Ya Rasulullah, I'd like to marry you. And the Quran calls her a mu'minah. The Quran says she's a believing lady, a faithful lady. She initiated. She came to Rasulullah and she told him, Ya Rasulullah, I'd like to marry you. I'd like to be your wife. That's Islam doesn't say that the proposal has to come from the man. There's no such law. Yes, it's customary. It's customary among Muslims, among the Arab, even among non-Arab, even among Americans, that the proposal comes from the man, not the woman. This is customary. Almost among all cultures and all civilizations, it's the man that proposes. It's not an ordained law by Islam. This is one. Number two, we support such a custom. Even though Islam doesn't force men to propose and doesn't allow women not to propose or refuses that they propose, but we encourage this custom that men propose and the women receive the proposal. We encourage it. And we don't feel that this degrades women or disrespects women or lowers from their status and honor. It is completely the opposite. When a man proposes and a woman receives the proposal, this adds to her honor and this adds to her self-respect and dignity. How? Let's come back a little bit. Let's come back to the different psychologies of men and women. We talked about this week. It's part of the DNA and psychology of men. When they're attracted, they go towards what they're attracted to. They become bold. They become courageous. For those of you that were with us last night and you weren't half asleep, you might remember what we're talking about now. We mentioned that men, when they're attracted, they will take the first step. They will initiate. This is part of their psychology. This is part of their nature. They will initiate because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them more courage and more boldness. While the woman, even if she's attractive, but she's still not going to be the one taking the first step. She's not going to initiate because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given her something called haya. The best English word to explain this, to define it, is called shyness. She's timid, she's shy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created her that way. On purpose. There's a reason, there's a wisdom. So that she protects her self-dignity and self-honor. If women were to go out and propose themselves and to show their interest in other men, this would lower her. This would lower from their self-respect and self-dignity. While when a man shows his interest in a woman for marriage, this doesn't lower his honor and dignity. This is how it works. This is part of human nature. Ask anyone in the community. When a man comes and proposes, this is something honorable. This is something good, this is something nice. But have a woman come and propose to you. The first person who will question you is your mother. Why is she after you? What is it about you? You don't look like Tom Cruise. There's something. It's either your money or your U.S. citizenship. I don't know. Your mothers will be the first people to put question marks. This is part of nature. Furthermore, when a man comes and proposes, innately, what is he doing? Naturally, what is this? He's showing his love. He's showing his desire. He's showing his interest. And as for the female, she's receiving the love. She's receiving the interest. She's receiving the desire. The man is the lover, she's the beloved. He's showing the interest, she's receiving the interest. He's giving attention, she's receiving attention. Doesn't this make her respect? Doesn't this make her feel special? As one wise man once put it, the woman is like a rose and the man is like a bee. The woman is like a light bulb and the man is like a butterfly roaming around the light bulb. This idea of having the man propose is supposed to make the woman feel special, wanted, desired. It doesn't conflict her rights. It doesn't reduce any of her rights. On the contrary, if a woman were to initiate, if a woman were to propose, generally speaking, there are always exceptions. There's an exception to every law and every rule. But generally speaking, when a woman initiates or proposes and shows her interest, believe me, the man will take her for granted. The man will not respect her as much. The man will not honor her as much. Instead, if he were to go after her, she would honor him more, and he would honor her as well. Especially if she makes it a bit difficult for him. She plays a little bit hard to get. He will honor her more and respect her more. That means she's not making herself available. That means she's not going to sell herself cheap. She's not going to sell herself short. And at the same time, if a woman were to propose, you can propose, Islamically you can go propose. However, they risk something. They risk a rejection. In fact, they'll risk several rejections. And this can be very harmful for a woman. If she's rejected, this will harm her self-esteem, her self-dignity, her self-confidence. She might lose self-confidence forever. While a man, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them self-confidence. 10 girls will tell him no, and he'll still have the self-confidence to go and speak to another and propose to another. Allah has given them self-esteem and self-confidence. But a woman might not. This can, if one rejection, if she receives one rejection, this can scar her forever. That is why we say, ladies, wait for the proposal to come to you. This does not contradict your rights. We're not degrading you. We're not disrespecting you. On the contrary, we're respecting you when we say wait for the proposal to come to you. You'll be honored in this way. At the same time, as I said, there's an exception to every rule. Sayyidah Khadija alayhi salam, she would propose to Rasulullah. Some of our imams, some women would come to them and tell them, we want to be your wives. We want to be married to you. Yes, there is an exception to everyone. But in general, we support this custom. This was the first law, which in reality it's not a law. It's a custom, it's not a law. Number 2 is a law. Some say that Islam degrades women and disrespects women because it requires women at the time of marriage to seek the approval and permission of their father. While a young man, at the time of marriage, if he wants to marry, he could marry whoever he wants and does not need the approval of his parents. Isn't this degrading towards women? Shouldn't a woman allowed to marry whoever she wants and whoever proposes to her at her choice? Why does she need the permission of her father? Why does the father have the right of veto? He could say no to whoever he wants. This is a question. Before answering, let's take a very quick look at the history of marriage among the Arab during the days of Jahiliyyah. Before Islam, women had absolutely no say in marriage. A father had the right to marry his daughter to whomever he wanted. His nephew, his cousin, his next door neighbor, a young man from another tribe. He could marry her to whoever he wanted. She had no say. She couldn't say yes, she couldn't say no. She had no right to question. Sometimes he would marry his daughter before she was even born. Before she's born, he would make a pact with another tribe that if I have a daughter in the future, she will be your daughter. She will marry your son. And when she's born, she's an adult, she can't say no. She has to go to that marriage. This was something very common. Also something that was very common during the days of Jahiliyyah among the Arab. Something called Nikah al-Shighar. Nikah al-Shighar meant that two men would make an agreement. I marry your daughter as long as I'll give you my daughter, as long as you give me your daughter. They would trade off daughters. These two men, they would trade off daughters. Man number one would marry man number two's daughter, and man number two would marry man number one's daughter. Islam came and said, none of this. We'll put a stop to all of this. A woman has to accept any marriage without the consent of the lady, of the bride. It's invalid. That is why Islam, for those of you that are married, or have been married, or have heard of a marriage, or have attended a wedding, at the time of, what do you call it? It's Miktab, right? Who initiates? Who initiates? Who? The woman. The woman says, زَوَّجْتُكَ نَفْسِي عَلَى الْمَهْرِ الْمُعَيَّنِ الْمَعْلُومِ. And the man says, قَبْلَتُ. Why? Why is it that the woman initiates? You know why? To ensure her approval. To make sure that she's approved. Because when she's initiating, obviously she's approved. While, if all is required is for her to say qabiltu, she could be forced. But in order for her to initiate, we are guaranteeing that she approves. Thus Islam came and said, a woman has to approve. Otherwise this marriage is invalid. And even Fatima Zahra, when Amir al-Mu'mineen came and proposed to her, Rasulullah did, as much as he loved to see Amir al-Mu'mineen become his son-in-law, he didn't say yes right away. He said, let me go and ask my daughter. He came and he asked Fatima Zahra out of shyness. Nowadays, when a girl hears of a proposal, she starts screaming, jumping up and down. For God's sake, she might even do cartwheels in front of her father. Fatima Zahra put her head down and she remained quiet. Rasulullah knew that she had accepted. He said, Allahu Akbar, sukutuha rida. That her silence is a sign of her acceptance. Now, a woman has to accept. If she doesn't accept, that marriage is invalid. But why does she need her father's permission? Scholars here, they say women are of two kinds. There are virgins and non-virgins. All scholars agree that non-virgins, meaning a woman that's been married in the past, and she's divorced, she no longer needs the permission of her father. All scholars agree. She does not need the permission. If she's been married, she's a divorcee, or divorcee, or a widow. She's been married before, and she wishes to marry again after the first marriage. She does not need the permission of her father. All scholars agree. But the debate is over whether this is her first marriage. If this is her first marriage, some scholars say that she needs the permission of her father. In fact, most scholars say that she needs the permission of her father. Other scholars say, there are some scholars who say if she is old enough, she's not a child, she's old enough, she's mature and independent in decision making, if she makes her decisions on her own. I mean, when I say she makes decisions on her own, I'm not saying she could buy, I don't know, she could go to McDonald's on her own. No, these are important decisions. If she's allowed to make important decisions on her own, including marriage, then she does not need the permission of her father. Then you would have to go back to your marriage and to the scholar that you follow to see what is his opinion. However, all scholars agree, whether they set this condition or not, that you need your father's permission or not, they all agree that it is best and better to have your father's approval and permission. But why? We believe that it is not to insult a woman. It's not to degrade her. It's not to tell her that you don't understand and let your father teach you. No. It's not to insult. Rather, it's for protection. We feel that this condition put by Islamic law is to protect a woman, especially virgins. It's there for protection. But what do I mean by protection? What is there to protect from? Remember last night, I mentioned something, if you remember correctly. Rewind the tape and try to remember. We mentioned that when it comes, one of the differences between men and women, when it comes to sexual desire, women have a stronger desire, but have more, what? They have more self-control. Men, on the other hand, they have less desire and less self-control. When it comes to these sort of things, definitely men are weaker than women. Women have more ability to resist. And again, this is put in from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a design of Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given women more resistance and more self-control. Men, less self-control. Now, men, my dear sisters, and my dear brothers, when a man wants something, especially in that sort of field, he will say and do whatever it takes for him to be satisfied. Is this true or not true? This is true, you know. They will say anything. They will make up all kinds of lies. They will give you any sort of picture. Remember yesterday, we said that the most precious words that a woman can hear is what? I love you. Do you know how many men have said, I love you, just to get satisfied? They'll say it and they don't mean it. Not only do they not mean it, they'll be laughing inside. Only to reach a goal. And once that goal is met, khalas, he doesn't even know you. He won't even know your last name. He doesn't even care about your last name. When a woman has never been married before, she doesn't know how a man thinks, she doesn't know how a man behaves. Of course, not all men. Not all men. I'm not trying to say that all men are animals. A lot of them are, but not all. When a woman has never been married before, she's not divorced, she's not a widow, but this is her first time in a relationship, and she hears the words, I love you, she's going to buy it. Of course, not all of them, they say it to reach a certain goal. Some of them, maybe the vast majority, they mean it. But there are some, they will say it because they don't mean it. Not because they mean it, but because they need to be satisfied. Well, this lady, this young girl, who's never been married before, she's gullible, she's naive, she's going to hear these words, And it's going to work like a magical spell. This girl is going to put herself at the disposal of this man. She's going to give herself to this man. Without questioning. Why? In the name of love. And how many girls were lied to? How many girls were deceived? How many girls ruined their futures and destroyed themselves and became something shameful for themselves, for their family members, and for their fathers? How many? Why? Because they rushed into something without thinking. And let's not forget that one of the biological differences between a man and a woman is that a man, whatever he does, he has nothing to lose. Nothing changes in his body. But a woman has everything to lose. Because she loses something. She loses something. And then, in a couple of days, in a couple of years, in a couple of months, she wants to get married. What is she going to say? What is she going to do? What excuse is she going to come up with? Islam says, slow down. Slow down. Come and ask your father. Come and seek the blessing of your father. Come and seek the permission of your father. Islam says, don't be tricked. If the guy is interested in you, he's not going to come to you directly. He's going to come to your father. He's going to come and seek your hand from your father in a respectful, honorable way. He's going to come and tell your father, I'm interested in your daughter, to marry her, to make her my wife, to make her the mother of my children. Do you accept? This is what he's going to do. Incidentally, they say that a young man went to propose. Have I told you this? No? They say a young man went to propose to a father to seek the hand of his daughter in marriage. However, when he went, he was chewing gum. Now that's pretty stupid. If you go and propose, brothers, don't go and chew gum. Because that says a lot about you. And of course, this father-in-law, or this future father-in-law, was very offended. I mean, this guy's here to ask for his daughter for marriage, and he's chewing gum. So he told him, do you always chew gum when you visit people? He said, no, not really, but you know, this gum has this thing against nicotine. He said, well, why do you want to chew gum like that? He said, well, you know, I'm trying to stop smoking cigarettes. He said, oh, great. You don't only just chew gum, but you smoke cigarettes. He said, well, yeah, sir, you know, when someone wants to stop doing drugs, he starts smoking cigarettes. He said, you used to do drugs? He said, well, I mean, when you're in prison, obviously you're going to learn to do drugs. He said, you were in prison? He said, yeah, well, sir, it's the law of the land. When you kill someone, you put you in prison. He said, you killed someone? He said, sir, I went in and I proposed to a girl. I proposed to her father. He said, no, I had to kill her. If he's interested in you, he's going to come not to you directly. He might get to know you, but at the end of the day, he's going to come to your father, and it's for the father to agree or disagree. You see, my dear friends, now you don't want to take too much of your time. Men know other men. Men know other men. Us men, when it comes to other men, we're not naive. We're not gullible. He's not going to trick me by telling me he loves my daughter. I'm not going to be mesmerized. I'm not going to be put under a magic spell. I'm going to sit him straight. I'm going to ask him 21 questions. And at the end of the day, I'm going to see whether he's good for my daughter or he's not. Don't worry, brothers, I don't have a daughter yet. Sorry. But this is what I will do in the future, and this is what you will do in the future. Because you look out for your daughters. You want to put your daughters in good hands. Thus Islam says, a woman has to seek the permission of her father. Not out of disrespect, not to degrade her, but out of what? Out of respect and out of protection. I was going to discuss another issue tonight, but it doesn't look like I have much time. It was the issue of dowry. Do we have time? Okay, صلوا على محمد وعلى آله. What is a dowry? A dowry is a gift that a husband gives to his wife at the time of marriage. Any gift. It could be anything. But the marriage will not be validated. It won't be valid unless the man gives a gift to the woman. This is called dowry. This is called the mahar. In Arabic, it's called mahar. There are some that say this disrespects women. This goes against their honor. Because what, is this a price for the woman? Is the man buying the woman? Why does he have to give her a gift? Let them just get married without the dowry, without the money. When he's offering her something, it's as if he's buying her. And that's offensive. Some, they think that dowry is offensive because they think this is the price for a woman. First of all, again, another very brief look at the history of dowry before Islam. Before Islam, there was a mahar among the Arab. Among the Arab, at the time of marriage, the man would present a gift, a dowry, to the woman. However, it didn't go to the woman. It went to whom? To her father or to her parents. It was seen as a price for raising this young girl, for breastfeeding her, for raising her, and giving her off for marriage. Thus, before Islam, dowry was seen as a price. You would go to a father and propose, you would say, okay, how much? You would say, for example, 1,000 dinars? He said, no, 2,000 dinars. You give him 2,000 dinars, you marry his daughter. It was a price. Islam came and changed all of this. Number one, Islam says that the dowry does not go to the parents. It doesn't go to the father. It goes directly to the bride herself. It goes to the girl. The Quran says, وَآتُوا النِّسَاءَ, not their parents. وَآتُوا النِّسَاءَ صَدُقَاتِهِنَّ نِحْلَةً. Nihla means gift. Give your woman their dowry as a gift, not to their parents, not to the father, not to the tribe, not to the elders, but to the wife herself. But why a dowry? What's the whole philosophy behind the dowry? As we mentioned, keep this one because this is going to come with us. This one is going to follow us throughout the coming years. That it is part of their nature, part of their DNA, for the man to initiate and the woman to receive. The man to give and the woman to receive. The man shows his interest, the man gives attention, the woman receives the attention. She receives the interest. She receives the love. This is part of human nature. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala designed us. And this is what is encouraged by Islam as well. Now, when a man shows his love and interest to a woman when he proposes to her, Islam says, when you show your interest and love, give something as well. Give a gift. Whatever you want. Give something, but not a price. You're not buying her. This dowry, you're not buying your wife with this dowry. She's not selling herself for this dowry. You're giving her a gift to show your love and appreciation. Thus, a dowry is supposed to, in reality, this is for the respect of the woman, that this man isn't just coming to propose to you and that's it, but he's giving you a token of appreciation. He's giving you a symbolic gesture. This dowry is a symbolic gesture that he cares about you, that he wants you, that he desires you. Let me give you an example. When you go to a person's house, let's say a family just came back from Hajj, or someone was in the hospital and he just came back home. You go and visit. What do you take with you? You take a box of chocolates. You take flowers. Why? Because that person wants flowers? The person doesn't have enough flowers at home? Or that person's chocolate crazy? He wants chocolate from you? No. But it's a nice gesture It's a symbolic gesture that I'm not coming empty-handed. And women know about this more than men do. Because a lot of times we'll end up at someone's home and we'll totally forget to take a gift. But women usually don't forget these kind of things. Usually it's the woman that has to remind the man, let's buy something. Let's go off to Shatila, or I don't know what you have here, Dearborn, and let's buy something. Let's not go empty-handed. Why? Is that person going to become rich? No. But that person is going to feel value, that he's worth your time. You made a gesture, you went, you took some time out, you stopped somewhere, and you bought him a small gift. It's nice. Even in Islam, it's recommended to give gifts to one another. It's not like someone's going to become rich off those gifts. But gifts, they bring hearts closer to one another. Even if it's something small. As long as it's symbolic. Islam says give dowry, because it will bring your hearts closer. It's a token of appreciation. It's something symbolic. When you give a dowry, you're saying, you know what? I care about it. I'm not going to come empty-handed. You're worth my time. You're worth my love. And what's shocking is that there are some families that ask for a large amount of dowry. I know there are some brothers that want to get married, but they're afraid because of the high amount of dowry, because they say we can't afford it. We either can't afford the wedding or we can't afford the dowry. We can't afford it. Why? Why ask for such a big dowry? Are you selling yourself? Are you selling your daughter? Think about this. This is not the purpose of a dowry. You're not selling yourself. You're not selling your daughter. One of my brothers, one of my older brothers, he says, one day I was performing a ketubah, and the man was offering his wife to be $1 million as a dowry. So he said, I was writing their name, I was filling out the form, and then I said, what is the dowry? They said $1 million. He said, I raised my head. I said, $1 million? He said, yeah. I told him, are you crazy? Are you buying her? Why $1 million? He said what was interesting is that the girl, she didn't get offended. Who got offended was her father. He said, Sayyid, in Arabic. He said, Sayyid, why are you trying to stop him from giving us $1 million? Let him give us that $1 million. This is a joke. You're not selling yourself. You're not selling your daughter. Proof that dowry is just something symbolic and it's not a price. There's a hadith that says, the less the dowry, the better. Rasulullah says, أفضل النساء أمتي أقلهن مهرا. The best women in my nation are the ones that have the least amount of dowry. Fatima Zahra's dowry was 480 dirhams, which is equivalent to about $700 today. Which of the sisters would receive $700? I would really admire such a sister. $700. Another proof that it's something symbolic, but it doesn't need to be money. One day Rasulullah was performing a marriage between a man and a woman. The man said, Ya Rasulullah, I don't own any money. He asked the lady, have you memorized Surah Al-Fatiha? This was at the dawn of Islam. Have you memorized Surah Al-Fatiha? She said, no. He looked at the man, he said, have you memorized Surah Al-Fatiha? He said, no. He said, future Surah Al-Fatiha. That's her job. Some of the brothers really like that. Believe me, you're not going to get away with it. You're not going to be able to teach everyone Surah Al-Fatiha. Not today. I wish. And number 3, proof that dowry is something symbolic, and I bet most people don't know this. It is recommended for the wife to give back the dowry to her husband. Brothers, salawat. It's recommended for the wife to give back the dowry. And this is also symbolic. Because it means that all I need is your love. I don't need anything else. I don't need money from you. I don't need a gift from you. As long as you cherish me and you love me and you respect me, this is all I need. Thus, subhanAllah, the whole process of giving the dowry and giving back the dowry is meant to make the relationship stronger. It is meant to bring them closer, and their hearts closer to Islam. Thus, it is not meant to degrade women. It is not meant to disrespect women. It is meant to protect women, to bring them respect and honor. Tomorrow night, the next account, inshallah,